me what it's like to be back up and running. You must have been looking forward to it. It must have been a long time coming.
Yeah, it was. Frustrating few months. But yeah, thankfully over the end of it now and back up and running. Nice to had a couple of games under my belt the last couple of weeks, and hopefully a few more to come. Obviously, it's a good time, to come back, given there's obviously a lot of lads in camp, etc. So there's obviously a few more opportunities floating around. Easier to pick up game time and get some consistent games under the belt. So delighted to be back and almost feeling a part of the group again, which is nice.
And when you immediately come back, are you part of the leadership group just due to your experience? And would you be a talker for all those young lads? Like, just would that be part of your personality to be chatting away to these guys all the time? Or is there extra responsibility on you with the other lads away in camp?
There probably is, yeah. I mean, there's obviously more onus on older lads to speak up a bit more, but personality wise, like, I probably wouldn't be the loudest in the room. I definitely be vocal on the pitch, which is probably where I do most of my talking. Especially for young lads, there's obviously given where we are at the time in the season, there's obviously a lot of young lads making debuts. So yeah, like if there's young guys coming into the squad or getting their first caps or first games, so talking to them in training and games and making them feel as comfortable as possible. Obviously, everyone knows what it's like to make their their debut, or even to come into Leinster setup when you're training with a lot of lads you don't know or you haven't met before. So it's always a nervy time for anyone. So trying to make lads feel as comfortable as possible. And giving them plenty of chat on the pitch in particular.
Is there anyone in particular that you've noticed, any of the young lads who are kind of growing into leadership roles, who are more chatty, that you mightn't have expected it of them, or lads who have more time to talk because just with the other lads being away?
I mean, like I said, Jamie's come in. He was, obviously he's a quiet guy, but he's definitely found his voice a bit more as the weeks have gone on. I think the coaches and Stuart and Leo and Phil, in particular, they always put a lot of onus on young guys to not be afraid to speak up and to find their voice, as Stu would often say a lot in meetings and on the pitch. So the coaches place a lot of pressure on young lads in particular to speak, because even in meetings and a lot of the more senior guys and will go off to camp, and there's obviously not as many lads who are talking. So that the coaches always make sure that lads are finding their voice, which is really positive.
How do you view the Six Nations? What prism do you look at it through? Is there a kind of a yearning there? Is it as a fan or a supporter, or what way do you watch it?
As a supporter, really. Like, obviously haven't been involved in the last while, but you still want, they're still your teammates, and there's obviously a big Leinster contingency in there. So I'm like any other person in the country, really. We want to see them succeed, and especially if it is my teammates, and seeing them do well and seeing them succeed, it can only be a positive for us as a club too. You've got lads, and like I said, big contingency of lads coming back in, to train after Six Nations. If they're coming in confident, and hopefully with a medal or a trophy with them too, they bring that back into Leinster as well. And especially for those lads coming back into some big games and back-to-back European games, it's always great if they're coming in. The confidence is high.
Best of luck at the weekend. Thanks Dave.
Michael.
Aisling, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi Dave, Aisling here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. And just on that point, just about the Ireland team, with so many Leinster players away playing with Ireland, it is a positive, of course, because they come back in and their confidence and all of these things. But can it be difficult at times as well to have so many away?
Yeah, it is. It probably is for those lads in particular. But I think probably the two setups are quite similar in that, you know, Leinster and Ireland play pretty similar styles of rugby. So, you know, given that there is obviously a lot of Leinster players there, they're still playing together, and you know, it's not like, you know, they're still coming back as a big group. So, you know, they fit in. They always fit in seamlessly well, and you know, even last week we had a couple of lads come back in too. So, you know, I think Stu's and Leo are pretty good with, you know, keeping contact with the lads who are in camp, and you know, so it's not too much of a shock when they come back into the setup. But you know, they always hit the ground running, and you know, it only really takes a couple of days training before they get back into it.
And for you, it's brilliant to see you back out there in a Leinster jersey. How was it spending time on the sideline? Was it mentally tough at times to be watching on, wishing you were out there?
Yeah, like it doesn't get any easier really. Yeah, obviously did my ankle at the start of the season, and then I picked up a back issue in that A game. Obviously trying to get a bit of game time in there, and I kind of thought it was only going to be a 4 to 6 week job, and you know, ended up obviously being longer. So I think those ones are always a bit more frustrating when you don't really know, you know, when your comeback date is. It's meant to be 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's 8 weeks and it's 12 weeks. So it's frustrating in that sense. It's always difficult when you're not playing. You don't really feel part of the group. You know, obviously you're going to all the games and you're watching training. It's obviously, yeah, you obviously want to be out there. You want to be involved. So yeah, great to be back in, and hopefully now that'll be it now for the rest of the season.
That's great, Dave. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ashley.
Over to you, Joe, if you want to.
Hi, Dave. How are things?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, I just found it very interesting that the way you were talking about the Irish style of rugby, how it's quite aligned with the Leinster side of rugby, and it seems to be like the Irish side of rugby is following the Leinster style, the transition from the Joe Schmidt era strategy into the kind of the new era. When the players come back into camp now and they're playing this kind of more expansive heads up type of rugby, and they've been trained in Ireland camp to that, how much does that enhance training and your performance at Leinster thereafter?
Yeah, like it's I mean, it's always yeah, like you said, obviously if you're playing two different styles of rugby, it may be a bit trickier then when guys come back in from training with Ireland for 7-8 weeks. You know, you play a different style of rugby, it's probably difficult to, you know, create that cohesion you have within players, and you know, people reading off each other, etc. But yeah, like given the styles are quite similar, it's easy to do that, which is a positive for us, definitely.
Yeah, and you touched on a little bit earlier how younger players are finding their voice and becoming leaders in the team. You have a huge amount of experience yourself, and you're back in form now as well. So I suppose in challenging for a URC title and, you know, a Champions Cup title, which is obviously the top prize that I'm sure you have your eyes on at the moment, how important is squad rotation and getting the most out of everybody who wears the jersey, be it starting 15 or the 23, in, you know, winning as much silverware as possible this year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, I think we're pretty blessed in in the strength and depth that we have within the squad. You know, and that's built on definitely our academy system for sure, and the amount of young guys who when they get their chance they step up and you know, and find their feet pretty quickly. I think it's probably, you know, due to the way we train as well. You know, everyone gets reps in whatever the first team do, if it's an attack day, if it's a defence day. Everyone's getting reps at you know, at whatever it is we're doing. So when those young guys do get a chance on the field to play games, you know, they've already been practicing for months in training, so it's not like it's relatively new for everyone. So yeah, I think that's, you know, to be within the top top 1-2 teams in Europe, you need to have good strength and depth in your squad, which we definitely do. And if you look at the players in the squad over the last couple of weeks, we still, even though it's the middle of Six Nations, we still have a lot of international players there too. Which is a real big positive. So to be competing at the top, you need to have the best squad, and rotation as well is obviously key. So guys aren't playing too much rugby, and when they get a chance, they're feeling fresh. Because they've had a week off or a couple of weeks to recover. Which is we're probably blessed in that we're able to do that.
Sorry, Dave, I just would like to ask you a question in relation to the game on Saturday against the Ospreys, a bonus point win obviously, and Leinster are back on top of the URC. What type of a game was it to play in? Because, maybe there was one or more tries in Leinster on the night, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we definitely left a fair few opportunities out there. Definitely had a lot more chances to score points, and we just didn't really capitalise on them. We obviously still got 5 points and 4 tries, which is a positive. There's just maybe a few unforced errors, just concentration things, drop balls, and conditions obviously. Ball was slippy, which is probably one of the reasons as to why there were so many drop balls, but. We 100% definitely, when we know that, we've talked about it, we left a lot of chances out there, but like I said, 5 points and 4 tries, which is what our goal was. So we'll take that on board now for next week.